Good evening. This regular meeting of August 12th, 2019 of the Dubuque Community School District Board of Education is called to order. Our mission is to develop world-class learners and citizens of character in a safe and inclusive learning community. Roll call, please.
Mr. Barton.
Here.
Ms. Bradley.
Here.
Mr. Donahue. Mr. Prohaska.
Here.
Ms. Ryan.
Here.
Mr. Sansey.
Here.
Ms. Whitman.
Here.
We're on our own.
We are for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I move the Board of Education approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the agenda as submitted. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I move the Board of Education approve the minutes of the regular meeting on July 15th, 2019 as submitted.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the regular meeting on July 15th, 2019 as submitted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Board salutes. I think there were a few out there. You want to start?
I have one, yes. Board salute goes out to the many Dubuque Community School District students who are and have been involved in area theater productions this summer. Our students have shined on stage already at the Rising Star Theater, the Bell Tower Theater, and next week at the Grand Opera House. Kudos to the dedicated staff who helped them have an outstanding summer theater experience, to their families also for encouraging their stage pursuits, and to the students for their dedication, creativity, and enthusiasm. I happened to attend a couple this summer, Newsies and Beauty and the Beast, and they were both wonderful productions. And they involve a lot of our public school kids, which is great to see.
Yeah. Good. Thank you.
I have one.
Yes.
So last Saturday, there was an event called the Back to School Bash in the community, just to prepare our students and families for the upcoming school year. And it was real good to see a lot of our administrative, Stan, Miss Amy, a lot of our principals just out there just really connecting with the families and students and just making sure that they're all prepared. So it's always good to see our staff out in the community. So I was really excited for that.
Great. Thank you.
Mine is not so much a salute as an acknowledgement.
Yes.
To me, this is always a kind of a mystical time of year when we start a new school year, and it takes all the partners to do their things to get it pulled together as a complicated puzzle that it is. Our staff is working on their own time right now. Soon they'll be officially on work time, but lots of work going on now, as it has been over the summer. Our families and our students are getting ready in their ways to do the things that they need to do to be ready to go. And I just think that, to me, this is a time of year that typifies what it takes to really make a strong educational program work. It's that partnership and everybody doing their part of it. So just to acknowledge
Great.
excitement of that.
Thank you. Any other board salutes? All right. Thank you.
I move the Board of Education suspend the rules of order and go into open forum.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education suspend the rules of order and go into open forum. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Anybody wishing to address the board at this time may come forth and do so. Okay.
I move the Board of Education reinstate the rules of order and return to regular session.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education reinstate the rules of order and return to regular session. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. That takes us to our consent agenda.
I move the Board of Education approve those items listed in the consent agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve those items listed in the consent agenda. Are there any board members wishing to have any items removed? There be none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And Facilities Services Report. Mr. Prohaska filling in for Mr. Donahue.
Yes. We had our meeting last Monday. It was quite an extensive agenda. I'll go over a few of the things that we discussed, and then I will make some motions. First of all, we had a review of our insurance by Mr. Dan Wellick of the Freeman Group, and we're going to change carriers, and it's going to save us about $250,000. Then we had a presentation from Synergistic LLC.
Hold on.
So just a clarification, when it comes to insurance providers, we're not talking about health insurance? We're
No.
talking about,
Property.
or
Liability.
Workman's comp.
Workman's
Workman's
comp.
comp.
Okay.
So I'm a little panicked back there from the union, so I thought I'd better
Okay.
clarify.
Easy back there, easy.
Okay,
He
so
did it
this,
to us again.
this is Workman's Comp. Okay, then we had a presentation from Synergistic LLC. They are an energy savings company, employing strategies for utility savings. Estimated after 5 years, we could save us $1.4 million. I'll make a motion about Eisenhower Elementary in a little bit. We had several professional service contracts. One was with Four Mounds renewal for the HART program, Four Oaks renewal, and then the Turpin Dodge for the purpose of some vehicles. We had an update on the pool replacement, and it should be ready on schedule for this coming December, I believe, Bill, correct? Then we had, well, I'll be making a few motions about Alta Vista, and we discussed a little bit about the site change, and a little bit about the technology addition. The roofs are complete on Eisenhower and Fulton Elementary School. The projects at the forum for the main boiler and the chiller and the technology upgrades for the boardroom are underway. That's why we are relocated here today. And we discussed the Hempstead kitchen equipment. And then we discussed the options for senior high baseball field. Ken Straka gave us a presentation. And obviously we are not going to move on anything until the revenue purpose statement, which will appear on November 5th in the election. Then Mr. Kelleher recapped the Pebble and Save funds and the history of our Pebble and Save funds. So that was kind of a little summary of our meeting there. I will now at this time make some motions here regarding some of these. Number one, I move that the Board of Education approve the donation from the Eisenhower Parent Teacher Organization in the amount of $18,000 for a portion of the cost of an outdoor pavilion.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the donation from Eisenhower Parent Teacher Organization in the amount of $18,000 for a portion of the cost of an outdoor pavilion. Is there any discussion?
Just to add, it's going to be a gazebo, picnic tables, a pad. I guess they have very few shaded areas on their playground.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I move that the Board of Education approve change order number 4 to Portson Construction, Inc. on the Alta Vista Alternative Learning Center addition renovation project in the increased amount of $94,078.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve change order number 4 to Portson Construction, Inc. on the Alta Vista Alternative Learning Center addition renovation project in the increased amount of $94,078. Is there any discussion?
Just
a
it.
question what that's for.
Yes, I believe this is for the site. There's a retaining wall involved and some dirt work, some landscaping, I believe.
Soil work.
Soil work? Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I move that the Board of Education approve the agreement with IIWPC for professional services for the Alta Vista Campus Vocational Technology Building Addition Project in the amount of $88,800.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the agreement with IIWPC for the professional services for the Alta Vista Campus Vocational Technology Building Addition Project in the amount of $88,800. Is there any discussion?
Again, a question for what?
So, and I don't know, Bill, if you want to come up, but remember there was going to be a renovation of the boiler
Yeah.
building.
Yep.
And instead, because of the cost with that, there's be an addition put on, instead, for the industrial tech portion, some other portions of that building, so this is the work for that.
Remember, we were going to invest about $800,000 in renovating the old boiler building, and we decided to pump the brakes a little bit on that project. Now we've sat down with the architect and the users, and we're recommending a $1.3 million project. But you're going to have a connection to the building. We're going to remove the old boiler building before, and you're going to have an addition now that's going to last 100 years versus 50. So it's a much better laid out floor plan addressing the CTE concerns at the Alta Vista group there. If you approve this, then it will go to bid in January. Bids would be due in February, back to the board in March, and a shovel could be in the ground as early as June 2020, and then that project could be completed in August of 2021. Of course, we'll come back to the board in November, December, share the plans with you and the specifications and the cost.
So the point is to give our students more career and technical education
That's correct.
opportunities.
And
Great.
get that type of activity that involve cutting and sawing out of the classroom setting,
Sure.
improve the indoor air quality, and get that out to a shop area with a proper dust collection system and so on. A much nicer facility for those folks.
With a lot of focus on flexibility as an alternative school, it's hard to build a permanent, shop area or auto mechanic area. So this is, going to give a lot of flexibility for the creativity of the staff and the engagement of the students at the Alternative Learning Center. So it's a few more dollars in the renovation of the boiler building, but it's going to be many times more useful.
Well, that's right. One last thing I wanted to add is that is also going to allow us to improve the security, the front entrance there, like we did with Cornerstone. Now we'll be able to improve that security feature of the front arrival as people come forward for that. So that wasn't even going to be addressed in the boiler room renovation. So this is a lot more thought out, and it's going to address a lot more needs.
Well, this will give our students opportunities way beyond what we've been able to.
Very much.
That's great.
So Bill, does this include demolition of the existing?
Yes, it does.
And the roughly ballpark, the site's about in the same spot?
That's correct. Yep. I always refer back to where the chickens were kept.
Yep.
Everybody seems to know where that is, so that addition's going to sit right in there. And we won't have to undo any work that we're doing right now with the Alta Vista Cornerstone project, so the timing's good.
Great. Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Bill.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I move that the Board of Education approve change order number 1 to Geisler Brothers Company on the Fulton School roof replacement project in the decreased amount of $7,672.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve change order number 1 to the Geisler Brother Company on the Fulton School roof replacement project in the decreased amount of $7,672. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I move that the Board of Education approve the agreement with IIWPC for professional services for the Hempstead Serving Kitchen Equipment Replacement Project in the amount of $32,000.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the agreement with IIWPC for the professional services for the Hempstead Serving Kitchen Equipment Replacement Project in the amount of $32,000. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Read the motion.
I move that the Board of Education accept the superintendent's recommendation to terminate the employment contract of Kiana Hill effective immediately.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education accept the superintendent's recommendation to terminate the employment contract of Kiana Hill effective immediately. Is there any discussion?
So I'd like to just talk about this briefly. Many of you have been in this room for many years, and you have seen terminations previously, and that has happened under the consent agenda. So we didn't necessarily name in a public forum the person who's being terminated, though it was a public document as part of our consent agenda, so always available to the public. legal requirements changed as of the first of the year, so going forward, regardless of the person's position, when we have a termination, that will come as a specific action item, and we will be required to name that person in this meeting. Should the board, we will in the future bring those to support services in case there is discussion that is needed. If the board would choose to discuss any specific one as part of the actual meeting, we will need to go into closed session to do that. So just a format change, not to indicate any more or less severity of this situation than ones that we've had for many years in the consent agenda.
So just to reaffirm, it's a change in the law.
Correct.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I move that the Board of Education accept the superintendent's recommendation to terminate the employment contract of Alicia Pollock effective immediately.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education accept the superintendent's recommendation to terminate the employment contract of Alicia Pollock effective immediately. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, thank you, Mr. Prohaska. Ed programs, Mr. Sansey.
Yeah, we have one recommendation. I move that the Board of Education approve the IASB and the UEN legislative priorities as presented. And I believe there was 4 that we all had agreed upon.
Right. Okay. It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the IASB and UEN legislative priorities as presented. And discussion, do we wanna go through them?
Yeah, absolutely, or at least talk about the process. I don't know how loud I need to speak for this microphone. I'm used to wearing a loud one. Am I doing okay? I'm not saying no, so they must be able to, okay, thanks, I got the thumbs up. So every year, we pretty actively work with the legislature to help them understand the needs of public education in the state of Iowa. We do that through Iowa Association of School Boards, we do that through the Urban Education Network, and then we do that, of course, on our own as a district. And so each of those entities set their own legislative priorities, and we try to condense ours into 3 or 4 primary focuses. And so I guess to start with a positive or a thank you to the legislators, we had worked for many years to get an extension of the SAVE tax, which will allow us to do many of the facilities upgrades that are needed. And that fortunately passed last year, so that was the top of our list for probably the last 4 years.
But we have to have the,
So we have a few steps
Plug
we
it.
have to get
Gotta plug it.
through revenue purpose statement. We'll start talking about that as we get closer to the election. So moving beyond the SAVE, which is a good place for us to be, the focus really has become around the funding formula. Currently, basically, all students are funded at a per state level of about $6,800 per student. That grows every year based on what we called our supplemental state aid or allowable growth. But it treats all students, most students, the same. And so as a school board, in conjunction with some other districts, really starting to push the idea of looking at some weighting for students who may become, so we have 17 languages spoken in the Dubuque Community School District. Last year we had 180 or so students who were homeless at some point during the school year. So looking at some weighting that comes in context of complexity of the program that we provide so that all of our students can be successful. And that's different than some school districts who don't have those same challenges. And so we had this as a priority last year. We've just upped it or elevated it to our top priority to work with the legislature to help them understand why differentiating or weighting spending authority based on the student's particularly income at this point. So a student who's on a free lunch, we'd have a few more dollars to spend on the programming needed with that student, whether it be after-school tutoring, some of the summer school options, smaller class sizes, co-teaching, a variety of things. Then students who are on reduced lunch, and then of course students who aren't in need of that support. So it would really help all students, but allow us to particularly focus on the students who maybe have some opportunity gaps in their experience as a student to help them, reach the achievement levels that we desire and that their families desire. So that would be first and foremost. The second one, I don't have that list in front of me. I think I do, but I can't find it. Had to do, here it is. to do with preschool, supports continuing funding to ensure that all 4-year-olds have access to statewide voluntary preschool. So again, it's not a mandate for preschool, but it supports 4-year-olds who desire to have, or not 4-year-olds, families who have 4-year-olds who desire to have a preschool experience. Number 3, mental health. Within the state of Iowa, within the region, within the country, mental health is an issue we hear more and more about. Certainly there are additional requirements for school districts to address mental health of their students. And that's not something that necessarily we were traditionally geared for or funded for. And so to continue to figure out ways to work with the legislature to find some mental health support for our students, for our young people. And then number 4, supports full funding of the area education agencies. So our area education agencies provide a variety of supports for us with special education students, with sometimes transportation. They fill many roles for us. It's interesting because not too many years ago, we sat at the board table and really debated whether we wanted to continue to support AEAs moving forward or not. They have become a valued ally in the last 4 or 5 years. We rely on them, they rely on us. And so we want to recognize that collaboration and that growth, and want to support them. They've been hit particularly hard with funding decreases in the last several years, and so it is a show of support for the AEAs, and quite honestly, they have found ways to be very supportive of us in the last several years. So those are the 4 we're recommending through IASB. You'll see a slightly different possible list when we get to our November legislative dinner that we have with the city and the county, but along those same themes, of course, at the pleasure of the board.
Great. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Anything else, Mr. Sansey? All right. Thank you. That takes us to new business.
I move that the Board of Education allow student number 815781 to re-enter the Dubuque Community School District effective August 26th, 2019.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education allow student number 815781 to re-enter the Dubuque Community School District effective August 26, 2019. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Board member or administrative issues, the non-agenda items, anyone?
I'd like to just kind of say a little bit about, kind of re-echo what Nancy kind of mentioned here about staffs all getting ready for our upcoming school year. Everything's exciting. I want to spend special attention to our buildings and grounds folks. We always have our buildings tip-top shape, and all the efforts and work they spend throughout the summer. So keep up the good work, Bill. And all of our teachers coming back, they're all eager to be back in school. The students are going to be eager to be back. And we are going to be at the kickoff this coming Thursday. Is that correct?
Correct. So a couple of key events coming up. New teachers, new to the district, or in many cases brand new to the profession, meet tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock at Roosevelt. Certainly the board is invited to attend that if you want to see some really fired up young folks. Thursday morning at 7:30 is the kickoff for all of our staff. That's at the Grand River Center. We usually have about 1,200 folks there. Usually a very good event. We've got a few new features planned this year, so there'll be some excitement added to that.
Worthwhile going, huh?
It'll be a lot of fun. And then Friday is at the elementary level, the professional development choice PD that our folks, our educational support team has been hard at work. I see Tammy and Cindy here. They've put in countless hours, as well as some of their colleagues, to make sure we've got a great day of professional development on Friday. And that'll be at Kennedy, and you're invited to that as well. So tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, I hope none of you have other jobs other than be school board members. 8 o'clock at Roosevelt, 7:30 on Thursday at the River Center, and then Friday at 8 o'clock also. Pardon? At 8 o'clock at Kennedy.
What's tomorrow?
Tomorrow's brand new
Brand new
first year
teachers
teachers
at
at Roosevelt.
Party time.
8 a.m.
Come out there,
Yep.
have fun.
How many new teachers do we
Donuts,
have?
Tom.
Yeah, just walk in, say hi. It's,
Free donuts?
I don't know.
I'm not in charge of their freshmen, so I don't know.
Approximately how many new
How
people?
many new teachers are there,
Yeah.
Amy?
We're about
Approximately.
88.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yep.
not necessarily new to the profession,
But new to our big schools.
Yep.
So, Amy, overall, as long as we've got you here right now, how's our staffing going? Are we ready to go? Everybody, all positions filled?
we are ready to go.
Ready and raring to go, all right. Great.
I think I do want to give a special shout out also to Cindy and Tammy and all their team that put together
Yep.
just this
Oh,
event
yeah.
for Friday. When we saw it Tuesday, we were super excited just to see all the different categories that is going to be taught by teachers, for teachers, related to coding, math, equity. It's just a variety of different things that's going to be taught. So kudos to that entire team for just the work that they put in. It's very beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, it's
Their
gonna be
program
fantastic.
looks almost like a state convention.
Well,
It's local here, it's
I
great.
hesitate to say that. I'd say it's
Well-
much better than what the state is.
Or national. Okay.
And the secondary teachers will be working with important
MTSS.
multi-tiered system of student supports.
Yep,
which-
absolutely.
Which is about how do we, with lots of children, how do we help each child one by one, know what they know and what they don't, how can help them.
We were in a little different place with the secondary, so we needed to have a focus training for them, and so maybe in the future we'll look at some other options for them. But yeah, it's an exciting week. I mean, if you're in education and you're not excited this week and next, then you need to find a new profession because this is what it's all about.
Yep.
Sounds good. All right. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Wow.